Hello, I'd like to call to order the July 21st Tredyffrin Township Public Meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to call to order the conditional use hearing. This is a conditional use application of the Islamic Society of Great Valley Forge on behalf of the North American Islamic Trust. The properties are 958 North Valley Road and 966 North Valley Road. The applicant is the owner of 958 North Valley Road and is the equitable owner of a 0.4 acre portion of 966 North Valley Road, which is owned by Devon 50, Inc. The parcels are located in the R1 residential district of the township. The applicant seeks conditional use approval pursuant to 208-45.c institutional overlay districts of the Tredyffrin Township zoning ordinance to permit a religious use on the property in conjunction with the existing mosque and related facilities on the adjacent parcel and any other relief deemed necessary by the Board of Supervisors. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have marked the following board exhibits for the hearing this evening. Exhibit B1 is the notice of the hearing. Exhibit B2 is the proof of publication of the notice in the Daily Local News on June 30th and July 7th. Exhibit B3 is the proof of publication of the notice in the Mainline Times on July 6th. Exhibit B4 is the proof of posting of the notice on the subject property. Exhibit B5 is the proof of mailing of the hearing notice to surrounding property owners. Exhibit B6 is a tax parcel map depicting the location of the property. Exhibit B7 is the zoning ordinance by reference. Exhibit B8 is the decision in appeal number 14-25 of the Tredyffrin Township Zoning Hearing Board relative to this property. And Exhibit B9 is the conditional use application filed by the applicant. So unlike our regular public meeting that we'll have at 7 o'clock, this is going to be similar to the zoning hearing for those of you that may have been present for that process. This is an on-the-record proceeding. There is a court reporter. He was here this evening taking everything down. I remind the board members of that as well in case you have any questions. So we do ask anyone that speaks tonight to try not to talk over anyone. We need only one person to speak at a time. We do have a number of members of the public here this evening, so I want to just make another quick announcement. Any member of the public has the right to be heard on the application. You have the right to offer comments in favor of or against the application. You have the right to request party status in the proceeding, which, if permitted by the board, would permit you to present your own witnesses and testimony and evidence and to cross-examine the witnesses of the applicant. You do not have to request to be a party if you simply want to make a comment. We were probably going to ask for those party status individuals here in just a minute after we do a little bit of housekeeping. Relevant to the board's decision, however, when you make that request will be how close in proximity you are to the property, whether or not you received a copy of the hearing notice in the mail, and how you would be affected by the application itself. So don't be surprised if we ask you those questions, if the applicant asks you those questions, and please note that they have the right to lodge any objections that they may wish, but ultimately it's up to the board. So that's my background. I want to note for the record that the applicant is present, represented by counsel, Michael Peters. Mr. Peters, before we begin, do you want to make a statement, anything, or should we go into party status requests?
We can start party status. I think the introductory comments were right on. They would have been my initial introduction to this application, so I'm prepared to start party status.
Okay, so with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, again, for anyone who just wants to be heard, that will be during public comment. I do want to point out that there is a possibility that the application does not finish this evening. The regular board meeting starts at 7 o'clock. If the hearing is not completed by then, we will pick it up again next month at the regular board meeting time. Actually, I think it would be starting probably at 5:30 next month. The date is August 18th. We'll let you know when we get there, But I want everyone to know that if we don't get to you tonight, if you don't get heard, you'll get another opportunity. Hopefully you're able to attend if you'd like to be heard in August. So with that being said, is there anyone who would like to request party status? Anyone who wants to be a party to the hearing? Yes, would you mind please coming up to the microphone, turning it on, letting us know your name and your address? Good evening.
My name is Lori Halpern. I'm sorry. There you go. Okay, that works. My name is Lori Halpern, and I'm at 102 Old State Road in Berwyn.
I apologize. Can you say the address one more time for me? Wait, you turned off her microphone. No, wait. There you go. Leave that on.
Okay, 102 Old State Road, Berwyn.
Ma'am, did you receive a copy of the hearing notice in the mail?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and approximately how close do you live to the subject property?
I am right behind it.
Okay. Mr. Peters, is there any objection to Ms. Halpern's request for party status?
Just a brief question.
Can you turn your mic on for us, though?
Sure. Just a quick question. When you say right behind, does your property abut this property? Does your property actually physically abut this property? And when you say,
Hang on, you got to
I
leave the
have
mic on.
Pico. It's on, it's red. Oh. Pico is between us.
I would object to her standing on the basis that she is not an adjacent property owner or an abutting property owner, which is the only circumstance under which there is automatic standing. I do understand the township's procedure and process for notice, but I would object on that basis.
On the basis that she received notice, we're going to admit her as a party to this proceeding.
I
Thank you,
understand.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to request party status tonight? The mic is off again.
Hi, thank you. My name is Lee Hall. I did receive a notice. I'm a neighbor. I live across the street, not abutting. I live in Old Forge Crossing, and my address is 348 Old Forge Crossing.
Ma'am, could you spell your first name for me so I get it correct?
My name is Lee, L-E-E, Hall, H-A-L-L.
Okay, and you hang on, you got to stay there for 1 minute. You can leave the microphone on, just leave that. You've received a copy of the notice in the mail? Yes. Yeah, I
Yes.
need you to say it.
Yes, I have.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Peters, are you going to have the same objection?
I do. I am familiar with Old Forge Crossing. Several individuals from Old Forge spoke at the zoning hearing. We are taking their concerns into consideration of being fair, but I do object on the basis that Old Forge Crossing is too far away to have standing in this matter.
But for the same reason that we admitted Ms. Halpern on the basis that you received a notice of the hearing, we're going to admit you as a party as well. Thank you. Anyone else?
My notice.
Okay, what's your name, ma'am?
Susan Corey, C-O-R-Y, 50 Old State Road. And I'm sure I'm going to get dumped in the same category as the others. My property is directly behind the actual buildings across from the Pico property. We border the Pico property from the second floor windows of my house. As I look out across Duncan's farm, I can see the Meissner's house, which I believe now is their offices, and the large building, which is the other thing.
Okay, Mr. Peters, any objection?
Same objection, and I understand she can see the property. That site of a property has been held to not be a sufficient basis for standing. I understand she received notice, but I do object.
Okay, again, for the same reason, since you've received notice, we're going to admit you as a party, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to request party status? Good evening, Mr. Christakis.
Good evening, Mr. McKenna. My name is Ari Christakis. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Baptist Church in the Great Valley. We're at 945 Valley Forge Road. We are generally supportive of the application, but we would request party status. We are abutting. We did receive notice. We're just across Valley Forge Road.
Are you here representing them?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Peters, any objection?
We understand the location of the church and have no objection to their standing.
Okay. Obviously, you're admitted then. Thank you. Anyone else for party status? Yes, ma'am. Would you mind coming up to the microphone?
Excuse me, I don't know what party status is, but my name is Jane Furry, and I live at Old Forge Crossing, number 102. And my concern is there's going to be more traffic on Valley Forge Road.
So,
Pardon?
Wh-
I'm sorry. Oh, so
We're just
This will be
determining
after?
whether you have party status, not your testimony.
okay.
we'll have an opportunity certainly for public comment, ma'am. You will be heard.
Thank you very
Okay?
much, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Same objection with respect to Old Forge Crossing.
I'm not sure she's requesting party status at this time, so I'm going to defer on that one.
Okay.
Anyone else? Party status? All right. Hearing none, then, Mr. Peters, I'm going to turn it over to you to begin your presentation, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the board for scheduling the hearing in this matter and for scheduling it at a time that allows us to get into the details of our application with you. As noted during the introductory comments, there are 3 properties involved here. You heard 958 and 966, but there is also the Camp Jarvis property, which is owned by Devon 50. And when this is all said and done, assuming the relief is granted, the Camp Jarvis property will get larger, and our client's property will soak up a good portion of the Duncan Farm property. And we have a witness that will explain all of that to you this evening. Before we got to you this evening, we've done 2 things. First, we appeared before the Planning Commission to get their initial feedback on the application before we appeared before the Zoning Hearing Board. And we also appeared before the Zoning Hearing Board to obtain certain variance relief from the Institutional Overlay District's dimensional and performance criteria, and those were granted. Before you, I have placed ahead of time 12 exhibits within a booklet. We will go through those 12 exhibits with you this evening to get just a few simple ones out of the way. Tab 1 is our existing deed to our property. Tab 2 is a letter from the North American Islamic Trust giving us authorization to be here this evening. The Islamic Society of Greater Valley Forge is the sole beneficiary of that trust with the sole right to be on this property. And so NAIT gave us the authority to be here this evening. And number 3 is our agreement of sale between the North American Islamic Trust and Devon 50 for purposes of our equitable standing with respect to the Duncan Farm property. With those preliminary items out of the way, I'd like to call my first witness. I will have 2, our engineer, Anand Bhatt, and also a representative of the mosque, Mr. Mahmood Patel. So without further ado, I would call Mr. Bhatt.
So would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Spelling your name for the record, please.
Sure. A-N-A-N-D, last name B-H-A-T-T.
Thank you.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'd like to walk through your qualifications just briefly, and obviously we did this before the Zoning Hearing Board as well, correct?
Yes,
What is your profession?
I'm a civil engineer and practicing civil engineer for the last 26 years.
Licensed in the state of Pennsylvania?
No, New Jersey and New York.
Okay, and you're authorized to perform work within the state of Pennsylvania?
I am.
Anand, what is your educational background
Bachelor's and master's in civil engineering.
and your professional background, please?
For the last 26 years since graduating from Rutgers, I've been practicing civil engineering in land development design specifically.
And do you own your own company?
Yes, I'm a partner.
And what is the name of that company?
Arna Engineering Incorporated.
And that's ARNA, correct?
That is correct.
What's your title with Arna Engineering? Bless you.
Pleasure.
That's okay.
Principal.
And just for the record, you noted you were a principal of Arna, is that correct?
Yes.
What are your responsibilities at the company?
Again, other than running the business, all civil engineering design, supervision, management of the projects, and engineering design of the such projects like we are presenting today.
Mr. Bott, would you mind just pulling that microphone a little bit closer, getting right up in there? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Would you please provide the board with some examples of projects you've worked on?
Sure. Again, we worked on several different projects ranging from small single-family custom homes to large residential communities to houses of worships to large shopping centers.
Have you previously testified and been accepted as an expert in civil engineering, zoning, and subdivision and land development?
I have been.
And that includes by the Township Zoning Hearing Board, correct?
That is correct.
Please take a look at Exhibit A4, Tab 4 in the packet. Is that your current CV?
Yes, it is.
And we can see accepted as an expert witness, and then all the municipalities within Pennsylvania where you've been accepted as an expert witness, correct?
That is correct.
At this time, I would offer Mr. Bott as an expert in civil engineering, zoning, subdivision, and land development.
Any of the parties, we have four parties, do any of you have any any objection to Mr. Bott being admitted as an expert in civil engineering, zoning, and land development? No objection. Okay, you'll be so admitted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You were engaged by the applicant in this matter, correct?
Yes, I am.
What was the scope of that engagement?
The goal was to see if we can expand the existing mosque facility on 958 North Valley Forge Road and see what the feasibility is for that project.
Please take a look at Exhibit A5, Tab 5 in our booklet. This is an aerial. I see your firm's logo at the top there. Is this an exhibit you prepared?
Yes, we did.
And please walk the board through that exhibit.
Sure. The exhibit shows the existing condition, which is an aerial image, and we have shown two properties in question, which is the Islamic Society of Great Valley Forge ISGVF property in the middle, which is 4.9 acres, and Duncan Farm property just to the north of it between the Pico property and the ISGVF property.
And to the south there, I see that there is an existing synagogue. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's Shabbat of Chester County.
And behind the synagogue, there is the Devon 50 Camp Jarvis property, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And across the street, we heard, is the Baptist Church, correct?
The Baptist Church in the Great Valley.
Okay. If you could please turn to tab 6, and we are not going to go through these in detail, but what we have provided the board is we received the history of the Duncan Farm property, which is quite interesting. The point to the board is simply the myriad uses that have been approved for the farm property over the years, and we discussed these with the zoning hearing board as well, correct?
Yes, we did.
And again, I don't want to go through the decisions in great detail, but it's fair to say that it's been permitted for use as a farm store, is that correct?
That is correct.
A commercial compost operation, correct?
Yes, in 1996, yes.
Splitting and selling firewood, 1996?
Yep.
Sales of topsoil, hay, and straw, self-produced and from other sources, again, 1996 decision, correct?
That is correct.
And then the operation of an excavation, concrete, landscaping, cleanup, and snow plowing business, correct?
That is correct.
And that history has led, if we turn to tab A7, please, to the current state of the property. And if you could, I know these are some photographs. You've obviously visited the property.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And if you look at tab 7, do you recognize this to be the property based on your own visitation?
That is correct.
If you could please walk the board through the photographs that we've included as tab A7.
Yeah, and again, this is the Duncan Farm property just located north of the Islamic Society of Greater Valley Forge property. The first picture shows a dilapidated existing structure which was used by the prior owner. The second picture shows some of the abandoned vehicles. Again, the third picture is pretty much the same picture. Fourth picture is in the rear of the property, which shows some of the trailers which are left behind. Picture number 5 shows the debris piles and some of the dilapidated structures which were left there. And the last picture shows a mobile home which is also left with a lot of debris in the back. So over the years, this property has been used as the owner wished without maintaining it or upkeeping it.
And as part of our application, all of that would be proposed to be cleaned up, correct?
That is correct.
If you could, let's get into our application. Tab 7 is the zoning plan that you prepared and that we submitted as part of the conditional use application, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Tab 7 was the photos.
Oh, tab 8, I'm sorry, thank you, Mr. McKenna. So for clarification, tab 8 is the site plan.
Yes.
And before preparing that site plan, because we know we have to go through a subdivision and land development process, do you obtain an updated survey in preparing that site plan?
Yes, we did.
And the plan that we're actually going to use at tab 9, is this a rendered site plan that you prepared, making the proposed improvements a little more visible?
That is correct.
Okay. The existing ISGVF facility, which is shown on the plan here, and the related improvements, are those served by existing stormwater management facilities?
Yes, that is correct.
With respect to the proposed lot line change, if you could, identify for the board how that lot line change is shown on this plan. And I know it can be a little hard to see, but there is a dotted line that runs through it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so walk the board through that.
Sure. So there's a dotted red line going between the two properties currently, which goes towards the rear of the property. The new property line is shown in the blue, so essentially 2.6 acres of the property behind the current ISGVF facility is essentially wooded area with the stream in the back. And that portion of the property, along with a small triangle piece from the Duncan property, will be merged or consolidated with the Camp Jarvis property or Devon 50 property to the south. And the more or less all the developed property along the road will be merged with the current ISGVF property. That would create a 4.11 acre lot for the ISGVF property, whereas as you had noted, Mr. Peters, that the Camp Jarvis or Devon 50 property will increase in size from plus or minus 9 acres to 12.25 acres.
And basically, the area that is going to the Camp Jarvis property from the ISGVF property, you used more or less naturally the stream as the border, correct?
That is correct, just to preserve the natural resources.
After the lot line change, as I said earlier, 3 lots will become 2 lots, correct?
That is correct.
If you could, I think you already testified to this just a moment ago, but how big of a lot will ISGVF end up with?
4.11 acres,
And the lot that Devon 50 will end up with?
approximately 12.25 acres.
The plan also shows new improvements proposed by ISGVF, correct?
That is correct.
And if you could please walk the board through those improvements.
The new improvements will include the expansion of the existing building, and that will require, it will include the 2-story building with gymnasium and classrooms, which is being proposed for the new expansion. Current building does not have the existing gym, indoor gym, and the classrooms, and for the youth of all the devotees who comes to the facility, they don't have any space to play. So that is the intention of expanding this facility.
Is there also increased parking proposed?
There are 60 additional spaces which are proposed to keep the existing all the parking and all the cars on this side of the North Valley Forge Road.
Will there be stormwater management improvements as part of this new building expansion and associated improvements?
Yes, for all the new improvements, we will be providing a new additional stormwater facilities, which in addition to the existing facilities which are already there for the existing parking.
Was the Devon 50 property previously served by stormwater management facilities?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the Duncan Farm property, I may have misspoke, sorry.
No problem. For Duncan Farm property, no, there is no stormwater facility for the Duncan Farm property, which is significantly high impervious area on the property currently.
One of the things the Planning Commission asked us to do, and then also the Zoning Hearing Board, which we'll get into, is to quote-unquote over-design the stormwater management system, correct? To catch more stormwater than we would otherwise need to.
Yes, and we were informed by the Planning Commission as well as Zoning Hearing Board as well as the neighbors that there is a flooding issue downstream, and we would be recommended to reduce the flows more than what is required by the township ordinance.
And we've agreed to work with the township's engineer to meet those requests, correct?
That is correct.
With respect to the new facility, and again, include the old facility as well, what is the required parking that will be required on the ISGVF property?
122 parking spaces would be required based on the number of seats, which is 430, and the office space, which is 3,400 square feet.
And how many spaces are you providing?
We are providing 129 spaces.
Okay. We're now going to use a few of the exhibits here, including tab 10, to walk through the township's zoning ordinance. You're familiar with the zoning ordinance at this point?
Yes, I am.
And that includes familiarity with the IO Institutional Overlay District, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And we confirmed with the township that the IO overlay could be applied to this property, correct?
That is correct.
And there were certain relief from the dimensional and performance standards that we needed, and we obtained that relief, correct?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so if we look at tab 10, please, go to 20845, and I'll note, this was printed off of your website, so at the bottom, you can see page X out of 145. I'll reference those to try to help us get through it. The entire ordinance is not in here. This is excerpts to try to help us stay organized. But if you could, go to 20845, the use regulations, which start at page 66 of 145. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. And our use, well, first of all, this section starts out that the uses under the IO district are conditional uses, correct?
That is correct.
And if you look at C, church, temple, synagogue, mosque, or similar place of worship, convent, monastery, or similar religious institutions, including rectory or parish house, and accessory uses as permitted below, that is our proposed use, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I said earlier that there were certain performance and dimensional standards of the IO district that we needed relief from, correct?
Yes,
Were you involved in that zoning hearing board hearing?
I was.
If we could, let's turn to tab 11. That is the zoning hearing board decision that was granted. If you go to page 29, that is the order that was issued by the zoning hearing board. And the relief that we obtained, and I'll read them off and you can just affirm in one statement, I believe. But we got a variance from zoning ordinance section 208-46.a to permit a minimum lot area of less than 10 acres, specifically 4.11 acres. A variance from zoning ordinance section 208-46.b to permit a building height of 50 feet instead of the maximum 42 feet. So the next, a variance from zoning ordinance section 208-46.c1 to permit an impervious surface coverage of 46% instead of the maximum permitted 25%, which we explained to the zoning hearing board matched the existing impervious coverage as between the two properties. And lastly, a variance from zoning ordinance section 208-46.d2 to permit and maintain a distance of 41.3 feet from a residential district or use instead of the minimum required 100 feet. And that was an existing condition. Did I get all of that correct?
Yes, you did. Thank
Okay.
you.
And then in connection with their granting of relief, the zoning hearing board imposed certain conditions, and those are set forth at page 30 of the decision, correct?
Yes,
We have agreed to comply with all of those conditions, correct?
yes, we have.
And that would include no rental of the gym, and that games and tournaments at the gym need to involve a mosque team, correct?
Yes,
That the stormwater facilities be designed to exceed code requirements, including consideration of certain concerns raised by neighbors as set forth in the conditions, correct?
that is correct.
That we provide a buffer of trees along the Pico property, correct?
Yes, correct.
And that is to the north where the majority or all of the neighbors that came out of the zoning hearing board are located, correct?
That is correct.
That use and construction of our project shall be in substantial conformity with the evidence and testimony presented to the zoning hearing board, correct?
That is correct.
And then finally, the last two, that we comply with all other local, state, and federal laws and get all other necessary permits and approvals, correct?
Yes,
And we've agreed to comply with all conditions, correct?
that is correct.
Okay, if you could, now that we know the relief that we already received, if you could go back to the zoning ordinance at tab 10. First go to 45.C again, please. You can see that for other uses that are permitted within the IO district, you can see under the accessory uses or under residential care facilities, there are additional criteria for those uses that must be met, correct?
That is correct.
For the church, temple, synagogue, mosque, etc. use, there are no additional requirements or conditions or criteria that are set forth with respect to that particular use, correct?
That is correct.
That being said, did we go through the IO district to confirm that we did comply, aside from the zoning relief, with the requirements, the performance and dimensional requirements of the IO district?
Yes, we did.
Taking a quick look at the purpose of the IO district, that's to promote suitable areas within the township for appropriate institutional uses which are compatible with and complementary to the surrounding community. You testified before the zoning hearing board, and also this board is well aware that this area has become an institutional area in the township sort of organically, correct?
Yes, it did.
And so we're surrounded by institutional uses as we sit here today, aside from, I suppose, the Pico property, correct?
Yes, except for 1150, which is more of a nonprofit use,
Sure.
but yes.
Next, to provide for special needs of older citizens close to family and friends. That's likely a reference to the residential care facilities portion of the IO district, but do we believe that our mosque actually does provide for those individuals?
Yes, there is a gathering space for them, yes.
C, to encourage the development of institutions with consideration for the welfare of the surrounding residential neighborhoods and adjacent non-residential areas. Again, this area has become an institutional area, correct?
That is correct.
That being said, we heard the concerns of the residents before the zoning hearing board, and the zoning hearing board imposed certain conditions on us with respect to those residents that we've agreed to comply with, correct?
Yes, we did.
And finally, to encourage institutional development to take place in those areas of the township convenient to public transportation and pedestrian access ways. We're somewhat constrained because our existing mosque is where it is, correct?
Yeah, this is just an expansion, correct.
Going back to the IO requirements and looking at 20846A, and that's at page 68 of 145 for the board if you're tracking. These are the area bulk height and buffer regulations for the IO district, correct?
That is correct.
With respect to subsection A, we obtained zoning relief from subsection A to permit our lot area, correct?
That is correct.
We obtained zoning relief from subsection B to permit our building height, correct?
That is correct as well.
We obtained zoning relief from subsection C to permit our impervious coverage, correct?
Yes.
Looking at subsection D, building placement, with respect to perimeter setbacks 1 and 2, we obtained relief to permit our setback from the residentially zoned property next door, correct?
Yes.
With respect to section 3, setback from another such facility, we're maintaining our existing setback from the neighboring religious uses, correct?
Yes, we are.
With respect to section 4, Aside from the existing structure near the right-of-way, all other structures are set back 65 feet, correct?
That is correct.
With respect to Section 5, all parking in service areas set back 50 feet from the right-of-way line. Do we comply with that?
Yes, we do.
With respect to Section 6, the underlying district here is residential, correct?
That is correct.
Do we have any buildings exceeding 250 feet in length or depth?
No, we do not.
What is the overall length of our building in depth?
Width is 175 feet and depth is 100 feet.
And because because we're proposing an addition, do we have any building connectors over 80 feet in length?
No, we are connecting to the existing building, so there is no connector proposed.
With respect to Section 7, buildings fronting on the street, we only have one building fronting on the street, and that building is an existing building, correct?
That is correct.
Looking at 208-46E, that relates to density requirements for residential care facilities for older persons, so it does not apply to us, correct?
Yes, it does not apply.
Looking at 208-46F, which requires a buffer area along residential districts or uses, are we going to comply with those requirements?
Yes, we will be.
And there is a reference to Section 208-102B. Do you see that there?
I do.
And for the board, this is a little weird, but I've spoken with your zoning officer, and something odd has happened in your E-code online where certain sections past 100 have on E-code reduced by one. And that's okay, because I can explain it as we go. But when we see a reference to 208-102B, the version that's online, which is the version I brought tonight, that section is actually at 208-101B. And this might be the only hearing where that is an issue, because I'm sure it will be corrected. But as we walk through, I'll point out where there's that type of error, so that when you look in this booklet and see that I'm not talking about 102B, but 101B, it makes some sense to you. And we'll go to 101 in a second.
I do want to confirm that for the board. Ms. McPherson and I have been trying to figure it out for a few days. It does appear, we don't know exactly when, but it was recently, within the last several months, that E-code somehow, with the version online, has made this change in multiple sections, where the section numbers are off by one number, by one section. It is not something that we did incorrectly with an ordinance. We did confirm that. It's just a website E-code issue that the applicant pointed out to us, that we've confirmed, so we know which sections are actually meant to be referred to, and Mr. Peters will point that out.
And I confirmed with your zoning officer to make sure I was looking at all the correct sections. I had a portion printed out from April, which was correct. So when I went to prepare for this hearing this evening, I did get extremely confused and thought I was going a little crazy, actually. But we figured it all out, and we'll make sure that the record is clear and the board is clear on what we're actually talking about. Looking at 208-47, that's special development regulations. A reference to 208-102, which we know on the version in the book is 208-101, correct?
Yes, correct.
So looking at 47A before we get there, that requires that we employ a quote, residential design complementary to surrounding buildings. We are agreeable to doing so, correct, but noting that obviously our surrounding buildings are also religious, correct?
That is correct.
And looking to Section B, it requires that we have 2 vehicular access points. Do we have 2 points?
We do.
It requires that they be 200 feet apart. Are we at least 200 feet apart?
Yes, they are.
It requires that they go onto an arterial highway or collector road. Do we comply with that?
Yes, we do.
And with respect to the specifics of the design of those access points, will we work with the township engineer during the land development stage to ensure they are safe and appropriate?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at section 208-101. And for the board, that's at 86 of 45, if you're following along the page numbers. These are special development regulations that are incorporated into the IO institutional overlay district, correct?
Yes.
And many of these go far beyond this conditional use hearing, so I'm going to run through them relatively quickly. Anand, I just want you to confirm that it's our intent to comply. So Section A contains landscaping requirements. Do we intend to comply with those requirements?
Yes, we do.
Section B contains buffer area requirements. Do we intend to comply with those requirements?
We do.
Section C contains street frontage requirements. Do we intend to comply with those requirements?
Yes, we do.
Section D deals with group development. Does that apply to our project?
This section does not apply.
Section E deals with storage and outdoor display. Does that apply to our project?
It does not apply to all.
And if in the future it would apply, would we comply with the requirements?
Yes, we will.
Section F deals with shopping cart corral areas. Does that apply to this project?
It does not apply to our section.
Section G deals with restrictions on excavation. Will we comply with that section?
We will comply with the section.
Section H deals with exterior lighting. Will we comply with that section?
We will comply with that requirement.
Section I deals with vertical architectural elements like an obelisk, clock tower, monument. Are we currently proposing any element such as that?
No, we are not.
It is a religious use, so if in the future we did propose such an element, we would either comply or seek the necessary relief, correct?
That is correct.
Section J deals with commercial drop-off and pickup boxes. Does that apply to our current use?
It does not apply.
And again, if in the future those types of items were installed, would we comply with the zoning ordinance?
We will.
Section K relates to rooftop equipment, refuse containers, and mechanical equipment. Will we comply with that section?
We will comply with that.
Section L deals with security gates, grates, and shutters in a commercial district. Are we in a commercial district?
We are not.
Section M deals with corner lots and site distance. Is this a corner lot?
This is not a corner lot.
Section N deals with wetlands and PNDI sites, including setback requirements. If applicable, will we comply?
Yes, we will comply.
Section 208-45, if we could just go back there very briefly. 208-45 incorporates two other sections, those being 208-105 and 208-117, correct?
That is correct.
And we know that those sections for now are 208-104 and 208-116, correct?
That is correct.
Turning to 208-104, and that's at page 97 of 145. This lists out prohibited uses, correct?
That is correct.
Going through those prohibited uses, and you can take a moment, I'd just like you to confirm that none of those apply to us.
None of them apply to us. Correct.
Going to 208-116. This is the conditional use section of the zoning ordinance, correct?
That is correct.
A lists out the procedure that we're required to follow, right?
Yes.
And then B, the criteria for review of proposed conditional use, that actually incorporates 208-150, which is the section for review of requests for special exceptions and variances, correct?
Yes.
And at least for now, we know that that section is actually 208-149, correct?
Yes.
And 208-149, we went through in detail with the zoning hearing board as well, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so let's take a look at 208-149. The first requirement is that we give full consideration to the size, scope, intent, and character of the special exception or variance, here conditional use, desired and the board needs to assure itself that such request is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of this chapter. We already discussed how our use fits in with the purpose of the IO district, correct?
Yes.
Next, that the board should consider the suitability of the property for the use desired and the extent to which the new or expanded use is acceptable to regulation by appropriate conditions and safeguards. The ISGVF property is already used for this use, correct?
That is correct.
And we've already explained that the surrounding properties are also used for similar uses, correct?
That is correct.
We would be willing to discuss, as we did with the zoning hearing board and the planning commission, reasonable conditions and safeguards that this board might desire, correct?
Yes.
Next, consider the public interest in or the need for the proposed change and determine that the proposal will serve the best interests of the township, the convenience of the community where applicable, and the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. We'll hear from a representative of ISGVF next, but ISGVF has identified a need in the community for this type of facility, correct?
That is correct.
It also provides additional outdoor woodlands for Devon 50, is that correct?
Yes.
And finally, an existing property that could be labeled a nuisance property in the township is proposed to be cleaned up, correct?
Yes, it is.
Next, consider where pertinent the effects of the proposed change with respect to the most appropriate use of land, conserving the value of buildings, safety from fire, panic, and other dangers, adequacy of light and air, the overcrowding of land, congestion of population, and the adequacy of public and community services. Again, this neighborhood is comprised of largely religious uses, correct?
Yes.
We propose to remove a blighted property that should hopefully improve health, safety, and welfare, correct?
Yes, we are.
As well as preserve property values, correct?
Yes.
The improvements that we're proposing will also go through the township subdivision and land development process, correct?
Yes.
As well as the building permit process, correct?
Yes.
And those processes will help ensure that health and safety is addressed throughout the process, correct?
That is correct.
The new improvements are designed to serve the existing congregation, as we'll hear from a representative of ISGVF, correct?
Yes.
Next, take into consideration the character and type of development in the area surrounding the location for which the request is made, and determine that the proposed change or modification as permitted will constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not substantially injure or detract from the use of surrounding property or from the character of the neighborhood. You've testified in length to the character of the neighborhood. Do you believe our proposed use is consistent with that?
Yes.
Consistent with that surrounding neighborhood? Yep. Next, guide the development of highway frontage insofar as possible so as to limit the total number of access points, reduce the need for on-street parking, and encourage the frontage of buildings on parallel marginal roads perpendicular to the highway. The ISGVF facility is currently served by 2 driveways, correct?
That is correct.
And we propose to continue having it served by 2 driveways, correct?
Yes.
With respect to you're seeking to shift one of the driveways, correct?
Yes, we are seeking to move the exit access, which is coming out of the property further north, which increases the sight distance for the traffic exiting the facility and making it more safer compared to the current condition.
And the project complies with the parking requirements of the ordinance, correct?
Yes, there is no on-street parking proposed.
Next, consider the probable effects of proposed development on highway congestion and ensure the adequate highway access arrangements are provided in order to protect major highways from undue congestion and hazard. Each applicant shall establish the effect of the proposed development on the reserved capacity of the public roads and road intersections, providing access to and in the area of the subject property. No special exception nor variance shall be granted if an effect thereof will be to materially increase traffic congestion on said roads or at said road intersections. These improvements are designed to serve our existing congregation, correct?
That is correct.
And detailed traffic analyses will be done at the time of subdivision and land development, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
If the special exception or variance is sought in an area which has been designated as a unified development area, does that apply to us?
It does not apply.
Next section, if a variance is sought in a flood hazard district area, does that apply to us?
This section does not apply.
Next, if a special exception or variance is sought to permit the installation of a communications tower and/or antenna, does that section apply to us?
It does not apply to us.
And finally, if we were seeking to take advantage of the Trout Creek Stormwater Overlay District, criteria 11 would kick in, but we are not using that overlay, correct?
We are not using the overlay.
Okay. And finally, zoning ordinance section 208-149.b, that contains the general criteria for the granting of a variance, correct?
Yes, it does.
And because we're applying for a conditional use, is it our belief that those sections do not apply to our conditional use application?
That is correct.
Were all of your testimony and opinions given this evening to a reasonable degree of certainty in your field?
Yes, it is.
With that, I have no additional questions for Mr. Bott at this time, but would certainly welcome questions from the board or the public.
Before I get to the board, I just have a couple of clarification questions for the witness, if that's all right.
Of course.
Mr. Bott, I heard you reference Devon 50 as a nonprofit, and I'm sure just about everybody in the room and the board knows what that property is used for and by whom, but the record does not. So can you just elaborate on how the Devon 50 property is used? What's that nonprofit use?
Boy Scouts of Devon 50, Boys and Girl Scout, I should say.
I heard you mention a couple of times the existing structure, but what I don't know is the existing structure non-conforming in any way as to the area and bulk requirements? And if so, can you tell me in what way it's non-conforming?
I think we're talking about the structure along the road, I would guess, is what we're talking about.
Whatever existing structure is there now, yes. I don't know. I heard existing structure, and when we were talking about the 65-foot setback from the right-of-way,
Yep,
I
that's
heard proposed would comply, but I don't know, does the existing comply, or is that non-conforming?
Yeah, do you mind hitting that, please?
Sure. So there is a small existing structure which is being used by caretaker and for religious school purposes. That structure is within the right-of-way, Mr. McKenna, and that will remain. It's an existing non-conformity, and it will remain. The new expansion will be set about 230 feet from the right-of-way, so it will certainly comply with the ordinance.
Are there any other structures that are non-conforming or any other conditions of the parcel as it exists now that are non-conforming? Do you know? In other words, does it comply with impervious cover now? Does it comply with the height now?
It complies with the height regulations now, and the existing impervious coverage on ISGVF property is 25%, which complies with the ordinance.
Those were my questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for this witness at this time? Can you turn your microphone on, Mr. Miller, please?
Can, I'll turn my microphone. Can we go to the tab that's got the picture of the property in color?
Tab 7, correct?
No, I don't care about the pictures of what it looks like now. I want the diagram of what it's going to look like. So I'm at tab 6. So can you just explain, using this photo, what property is staying with your client and which is going to Devon 50?
Here, use tab 5 for that, if you could.
Okay, 5.
Or tab 4, if you want, whatever's easiest. Or tab 5, sorry.
Yeah, tab 5. Because you used the one, when you did it, you did a different one that didn't have the color on it. So, yeah, tab 5.
So if I understand correctly, you're referring to the property which is just north of the ISGVF property.
Yeah, the Duncan Farm property.
Duncan Farm property. So if you know, Duncan Farm property has most of the eastern side of the property is developed with a lot of gravel area, debris area. That's the area which is being merged in with the Islamic Society of Greater Valley Forge. And about 30 feet off of the creek area, which more like becomes a triangle area, that's going to be conveyed to Devon 50 property.
So I see the blue squiggly creek. There's
Yes.
a small triangle that's sort of above the UPI 43-5.
Correct.
That little triangle is what's being conveyed to Devon?
That is correct.
Okay. And how about the piece below that?
That is also getting conveyed to Devon 50.
Okay, and that's part of the current property,
That is current ISGVF property.
IVSG. Okay, perfect. All right, so both of those pieces.
Both those
Got it,
pieces
got it.
are conveyed, yes.
Okay. And when I see the part that you're retaining, former Duncan Farm, I see it sort of cut off at an angle. Tell me about what that's about.
That is how the property line is on the Duncan Farm property.
Oh.
Currently, that's the triangle which happens to be the Pico property. But that is how the property line is for Duncan property.
The zoning hearing board had the same question, and we are not sure how the property line came to be.
But that is it. So that piece, so when you say you're going to clean it up, are you going to clean up all of that, or some of that's on Pico's property, I guess?
Again, we'll work with PECO to clean that up as well, depending on what they would want us to do, but
I
yes.
mean, I would say, I think you guys want it cleaned up, right?
We do not mind cleaning it up ourselves, yes.
I mean, it probably helps you, I think. Okay,
Sure, yes.
got it. Traffic, how many spaces do you have now?
There are 69 parking spaces on the current ISGVF property.
And you're proposing 129?
We are proposing 129, yes.
And how many do you use today? And how many cars are there when you have people there? 129 enough? I'm trying to understand if 129 is sufficient.
So typically, it is required, our congregation requires that many spaces. The reason is, again, it's one day, Friday. What happens is, and if you're familiar with that area, when Friday prayers happen, we have cop cars directing traffic, and we have been using, we've been grateful that we've been allowed to use the Baptist church parking spaces. So people will park there, kind of cross over to the ISGVF, do the prayers, come back. So there is a lot of going back and forth.
Yeah, no, I
where
know, I've been there, I know.
So where we are trying to keep all the parking, all the cars for ISGVF on our side of the property, so we do not have to cross over.
Let me ask really specifically, so with the 129, will all the cars be on your property, or will people still be crossing?
On all the regular Friday prayers, however, if there is a high holidays, which are 3 or 4 high holidays, at that point, we will still need to use the Baptist church parking.
Plan any outside lighting?
We do, for the parking spaces, correct.
Would those lights be on all night long, or will they go off in the evening?
No, they will go off. Again, they will be more or less depending on when the use of it, and we can work with the township engineer at the time of land development to make sure that we turn it off at a certain time frame.
Just think about the neighbors, like
Absolutely.
yeah,
We
okay.
will be considering all those.
Plan any outside speakers or loudspeakers, or?
We do not plan that, and again, I can have Mr. Patel, who is going to be the next witness, can specify, but yeah.
Okay, so you're not planning outside loudspeakers or anything like that?
No, we do
Okay.
not.
Those are my questions.
Yes, just a couple of questions to get my mind around this. So what's the size of the church, of the Baptist church and the synagogue compared to what is proposed right now? When I say proposed right now, include the existing property and the proposed development property. I'm just trying to get a flesh out the scale versus the other properties around this area.
And it's a very good question. I do not have the sizes of the 2 existing religious facilities. However, this portion, which is the expansion portion, is more or less for the accessory use, which is for the gymnasium and the classrooms. And that was the intent for it. We are not trying to kind of increase the size of the religious facility, but this is an accessory use which happens for the youth outside in the winter times, and we just want to bring them inside.
And what evidence do you have suggests that there's a need in your congregation for this size of building? Has there been an increase in the amount of congregants? Like what's the basis?
That's a perfect question for our next witness. Who's from ISGVF?
And I guess my other question is, and it's just, I'm not quite sure it's formulated completely yet, but it seems like a hardship that you created on yourself by purchasing this property.
Well, so hardship's not the standard. Yeah, so we're here for a conditional use. You're absolutely right, we had to go through all the hardship argument with the zoning hearing board, but we already went through that whole process. So the question now is whether or not we're meeting, well, I don't, Mr. McKenna will advise you, but our position is, the question is, are we meeting the standards of your ordinance for the conditional use? And there are no standards for this particular use. So we believe we've gone through everything to demonstrate that we comply with those requirements, but it's not a question of hardship. if that makes sense.
That's helpful. We should probably talk about the standards right when we.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's a helpful thing if you're saying that we're kind of going it. Again, I think it's important we have a nice situation there. We want to maintain the scale. I understand you've expanded the property and that there's a large setback and we're not going to see this larger building. So I do appreciate that.
and we went through, and we can go through some of that, probably, even though we don't have the exhibit, why or how the setback that we're proposing results in the building actually looking much shorter than you would expect, which is what we presented to the zoning hearing board. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I know I didn't bring that exhibit this evening, but.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, as we discussed and Mr. McKenna noted as well, the building setback for IO overlay is 65 feet from the road. We are setting the new building 230 feet. So when you're on the road trying to look through, if 65 feet, the building which is permitted at 42 feet high, sitting at 65 feet would look much taller compared to the building sitting 230 feet away from the road. So when you look at the actual, again, I don't have the actual numbers as well, but when we presented to the zoning hearing board, we showed them the exhibit showing how the building would appear much lower height compared to if it were to be placed at 65 feet. So that was the justification we had provided, and we understand the reasoning. Another reasoning was it can be seen from the other side, and that's why we had agreed to do landscaping along Pico property to make sure Mrs. Corey's property is landscaped or buffered from the new building.
And if you look at the zoning hearing board decision, I'm just looking at some notes I made. Due to the existing grade and the setback, what the zoning hearing board found was that the building would appear 18 feet in height instead of 50. So that's how the setback and grade work to our advantage here.
That sounds correct.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just go to tab 8 for a second?
Yeah.
Can you talk about how the traffic is going to come in and out from this diagram? Just so I understand.
Tab 8, which is zoning ZP 101, is that what you're looking at, sir? Oh, yeah. Would you mind going to, again, if it's okay, tab 9, which is more color version, so it's easier to see where the accesses are? So the current access is located, yeah. So current access is at the lower end. Entrance from the property is from the southern side, and there is an existing exit coming out of the property, which is either you can make a left or right onto Great Valley Forge Road, pretty close to where the existing building sitting very close to the road is. Now with the new proposed layout, we are moving the access about 150 feet, 140 feet from the current access north, as far as we could go towards north along the Duncan property, and creating much larger separation between the two accesses, one coming in, one going out.
Sure.
Mr. Miller, I'm going to remind you to just turn your microphone on for the court reporter. Sorry.
I'm sorry about that, I apologize. Could you just talk about stormwater for a second?
Yeah, we certainly can. Again, this plan right now is a conditional use plan. We will be working with, during the land development phase, to create the stormwater management facilities to address all the new stormwater facility for the property, for the new parking, which is 60 new parking spaces, and the building expansion, as well as all the driveways which we are putting in. The regulations, and you may be very much familiar with the regulations for the township, is the existing impervious counts as nothing. That means whatever the existing runoff which is happening from Duncan Farm property, we cannot take any credit for that. So we will be starting with a meadow condition, and we will be putting all the impervious on. So although we are showing one single basin on that tab 9 exhibit, there may be additional underground facilities which we may have to propose to comply with the requirement, and not just comply, but exceed the requirements, because that's the recommendation we have received from the Planning Commission as well as Zoning Hearing Board.
You okay with impervious parking lots and all those kinds of technologies, if that?
Yeah,
makes sense?
porous paving, and yes, we are certainly.
Pervious paving and all those things.
Yeah, porous paving, yes.
It was one of the things the Planning Commission
Yeah,
suggested.
we just
as well.
we just put Winnie as a township, so we sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I understand they've come a long way, so I know that's something we've expressed an interest in looking at.
Absolutely, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Question. I'm looking at, I guess it's 5, the map, the colored map, where it's showing me the former Duncan Farm and where the red line's going, and I believe what David talked about, you're cleaning up from where Pico is. So if I'm understanding this, you're going to knock that building down, you're going to clean up everything, and it's just going to be space?
Yeah, so if you go back to the same tab 9, ma'am, so if you see, which shows the color rendering of that area. So if you refer to those areas very close to the triangle which we were referring to, that whole area is gravel or existing building.
Right.
That will be converted into green space, because we are not planning to put any parking or any impervious in that area. So that will be cleaned up, and it will be a green space for use for the congregants, and there will be buffer area in that corner as well.
Okay.
When this gymnasium is, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, David.
when the gymnasium's in use, how many more people do you think this is going to draw to the area?
Again, the
Maybe
goal.
this is for the next witness, but yeah.
Yeah, again, I will let Mr. Patel tell you this, the requirement, but I think the need is there currently for the congregants, because there is no space for kids to play. So these are the current congregants which are continuing to use that facility, will be using that facility. There may be once in a while tournaments which may be used, and the mosque team will, if they're, so what happens is, what I understand from Mr. Patel is the team from the congregants goes to other facilities, and they would invite some other teams to come to their facility to play once this facility is built. We have not done the calculations on the parking, but at that time, it will not be an overlapping with the prayers happening that those games would not be played on Fridays. That is my understanding, so there would not be an overlap of the use, basically, at that point.
Is it solely a gymnasium, or are there other rooms or other conference rooms or anything?
So there are 2 stories. One is a gymnasium story, and the classrooms are going to be underneath. And there will be, those classrooms are currently held in all over the building currently, and as well as the caretaker building, but they will be kind of more formally located inside the building underneath the gymnasium.
When you say gymnasium, are we talking about one basketball court, or how big is this facility?
Basketball court.
Last question, I know, hours. So there are going to be people showing up at more hours to this facility than previously, and what's your expectation there?
I think that's definitely for the next, it's a great question, but it's definitely for the next witness. Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board for this witness? If not, we'll turn to the parties.
I had a statement, and one is that I appreciate that y'all have stated in writing and verbally that you will do more than is required for the stormwater abatement needs of the property, especially as proposed. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Humble. I'd like to turn to the parties. Again, I don't know how many of you were in this process during the zoning hearing, but I'm going to give you an opportunity one at a time to come to the microphone. This is the time, however, for questions. This is not the time for statements, whether you're against it or whatever your concerns may be. It's if you have any specific questions for this witness, confined to the testimony that you've heard. There is another witness, so you may have those questions answered by someone else. If you get If you ask a question and you get an answer that you don't like, please do not argue with the witness. That's just the way the question and answer process in our system works. So I'm going to go in order. Lori Halpern, do you have any questions you'd like to ask for this witness? And again, we'll just remind you to turn the mic on when that red light stays on, please.
Good evening. A couple of things. I think we'll start with the congestion. So presently, you said that when this facility is built, you would have 129 spaces for parking, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You said that you would no longer need the Baptist church on a regular basis.
That is correct.
At present, how many spaces do you use at Baptist that you've contracted with them?
We do not have any contract. I'm speaking from my understanding. I would prefer that the next witness, who is a congregant, explain to you how many spaces they use, but.
Could you also provide the number of congregants that you presently have that you can support?
Again, I refer to the next witness, please.
Okay.
It would be engineering issues I can answer.
Okay. Lighting. Presently, I have lighting for the congregation using the facilities in the back. There are backup noises, there are red lights, and this goes to 3 in the morning at some times. How would that be addressed with the new facility? There'll be more than double the amount of cars, and they will be closer coming in and out because you're moving the access, how many feet? 100 feet to the north?
So to address your lighting concerns, the lighting will be designed and installed based on the requirements for the township. We will also be planting a robust buffer along the Pico property, which does not exist today. So that will.
Now, the robust buffer is of what material?
It would be evergreen trees and shrubs.
That, if you're not familiar, is a very large repository for deer. I have 30 deer in my backyard, so putting that type of material will be useless. The deer will eat it.
I don't mean to be rude, but can we just keep
I'm
asking
just
questions, please?
making a point for that.
Understand, yeah, if you have more questions, that would be good.
As far as the water, would that be something for the runoff? How would that be managed? You said there was one spot above ground. Are there other things that would be?
You're correct, and as I noted that we will be designing a facility which not only comply but exceed the requirements, and we have not designed which shows all the design will be above ground or underground. So currently we have shown a facility which can be fitted on the above ground location, but if we need more, we will be putting them underground and also implementing the strategies like porous paving as recommended by the board as well as the planning commission.
I think that's it. I think the other questions would be by the other gentleman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Lee Hall, do you have any questions for this witness?
Thanks. I just want to express respect and neighborly friendship to the Islamic religious community. And I appreciate all the supervisors' time, and thanks for hearing me. And just as a basis of why I'm concerned, my garden and neighborhood has been...
Hang on, ma'am. I'm sorry to cut you off, because we do want to hear from you at some point, but do you have any questions right now for this witness?
Yes, thank you.
Rather than statements, we just need to get the questions for this witness, please.
I do appreciate very much that porous paving is being planned and the storm water management will exceed the requirements. I would ask, isn't this appropriate as heavy storms are getting heavier given climate crisis?
If that's a question you'd like to ask the witness, then the witness, if you're capable of answering, go ahead.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, I understand that you're thinking of doing a porous paving for the parking area and exceeding requirements for the stormwater management. And I would just ask, isn't that appropriate given climate change?
And that is not, porous paving is not the only strategy we are going to implement. There are above ground facilities and underground facility which will be incorporating into the design such a way that the flow coming out of the property is less and we comply with the requirements. And I agree with you, the climate is changing and the stormwater is increasing, and that's why we are trying to do a little bit more than what we are required to do by the ordinance.
And just one more, thank you. It came up, the words came up, woodlands and green space, and that is very interesting because that does absorb water, so that's very interesting to me, and I'm hoping that maybe even the input of the Environmental Advisory Council could calm some of our nerves if there was some advisory going on with your property and our property that would help us both to deal with our increasing flooding problem at Old Forge Crossing. There's a lot of engineering going on to deal with it, but it would be good if we could have assurances that it wouldn't get worse, hopefully by mutual cooperation with best gardening and best landscaping practices. And that's all I have. Thank you very much for hearing me.
And the Environmental Advisory Council should be a part of the land development process. They will typically review those plans and they will make recommendations as well.
Thank you.
Sure. Susan Corey?
My specific question is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, those of us on that lower end of Old State Road, my property, Lori's, my parents' property, we're all on wells. So I'm concerned about groundwater, and if you're putting in a big parking lot, I want to know what you're using to treat it. And when we have heavy winters and you're all out there throwing your stuff to get rid of the ice and the snow, that goes into the ground, and our wells are all lined up behind our properties along on the north side of where your thing is. So I'm concerned about the groundwater. Growing up there, we already had one issue with the development up above on Castle Finn Lane. When they were dynamiting that hillside to put those houses in, they cracked my dad's well system.
Let's let him answer your question though, if that's okay. I think he
So
gets
I'm
it.
just concerned about, because we're on wells on the lower end of Old State Road, so whatever's going into the ground is going into our water, and I'm concerned about that, especially if you use any sort of chemical treatments for those parking lots.
And again, very, very good question. BADEP on a state level requires us to meet not only just the quantity, which is the volume of the water which is going to your property, but the quality. And we have to maintain certain water quality features on the property as part of the stormwater management system, which will be implemented for this system. So based on the requirements, we will comply with those requirements. Hence, it should not be making your well water worse, but the goal is to infiltrate the water into the ground. I'm not sure how much infiltration we will get in this area due to the very close proximity to the creek right now, but our goal is to, again, DEP encourages us to infiltrate as much as possible and let it filter through the soil media. We are too far from that whole design yet. We have not completed that design, but I can assure you that we will be complying with the DEP requirement. Without that, we will not get the permits which we need from the state. Thank you.
Ma'am. Mr. Christakis, do you have any questions?
Just one. I just want to confirm that I understood your testimony properly. Is it your testimony that there's presently no stormwater management facilities on the Duncan Farm property?
You're correct. There is no stormwater facility on Duncan Farm property.
And to confirm there's adequate space available for you to construct appropriate stormwater management facilities there?
It will have to be. It's not our choice at that point if we need to lose some parking spaces to make space we will have to.
Thank you, that's all I had, thank you.
Peters, any redirect?
No, thank you.
I'm going to ask a logistical question because it is 10 minutes of 7 when the board's public meeting will begin. Do you want to present Mr. Patel for 10 minutes, or would you like to use this opportunity to continue the hearing until next month?
I just want to be clear, I don't think we have 10 minutes. I think we need to stop a few minutes before 7 so we can start promptly at 7.
Understood. My
We're
recommendation,
respectful. Yeah.
again, was going to be that we just, it seems like the natural end point for tonight, and that we continue it to next
And
month.
there were some very good questions asked that I can work through with my witness as well, so we have it ready for the next hearing. So now would seem a good time. Thank you.
All right, so that everyone understands what we're doing. We're going to pause the hearing this evening. We're going to continue it until next month, which I'm going to confirm is August 18th. We will start at the same time at 5:30 PM. At that time, Mr. Peters will resume his case. He may have more questions for the engineer. He may put on his second witness. Same as before, all of the parties will have the opportunity to question that witness. When the applicant is done their case, when they have no more evidence to present, I will turn to any of the parties. You can be sworn in, you can testify, you can say whatever it is you'd like. When all of the parties are done, if there's any member of the public then that night that wants to make a comment, we will get to you as well. Hopefully we can conclude everything at next month's meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for
All
your
right,
time.
thank you. We'll stand in continuance until August 18th.
Now we go to Township business. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters. Supervisor liaison reports. Supervisor Humble.
Thank you. The Tredyffrin Parks and Recreation Board met on July 9th, 2025. We discussed our usual agenda, which includes police reports, the Public Works report, the Parks and Rec report. As you heard, Chairman Miller just announced the changes going on at the tot lot at Wilson Farm Park. We next discussed Eagle Scout projects, including potential Eagle Scout projects. So we have a list of things that need doing but can be done relatively easy for when students come to us looking for projects for their Eagle Scout awards or their Girl Scout awards. We've done several of those throughout the township over the years. We then discussed the new business, which was Wilson Farm Park and the construction update. What we're talking about is the upgrades and the improvements being made to Wilson Farm Park that were first brought to the board's attention and considered in 2019, for which a bond issue occurred. And then in 2019, the projects were formally improved. It's been 6 years, I know, but finally, we're going to start on doing those changes soon. Another thing that we had discussed was the master plan for 355 Chase Road. For some of you who haven't heard about this previously, this is the old picket post property that's over on Chase Road. The township has taken it in eminent domain and is making plans now for how to go in, clean it up, and improve it for the neighborhood and the rest of township residents. We also discussed water fountains, the ones that aren't yet working in some of our parks, and the need to get new parts for those. Some of these are very old, as you may be very well aware, so it takes a little bit of time to get the parts that we need to fix them. I did bring up the concern mentioned by citizens at this past June's Board of Supervisors meeting, particularly the issue of geese around the pond in Wilson Farm Park, and how can we get rid of them or at least moderate their impact. So a fence is not going to do anything because they fly. So some of the things we discussed was using a dog, which is what I had no idea until Mr. DeRocco had told us. Golf courses use dogs that go around and chase them at various times, chase them away, and eventually they learn that that's not a friendly place for them to go, so they move on somewhere else. We next got our deer management report, and we did discuss the issue of the Chesterbrook Civic Association wanting to help raise money for the bike park that's proposed to be at Mill Road Park, and discussed that with Mr. DeRocco, that money should be paid through the Tredyffrin Township Parks Foundation. That's our charitable arm to receive any kind of charitable donations that people want to make, and they can specify that it's for the bike park, and by law, it must be held for use in the bike park. So anybody who is so inclined to donate themselves or to help raise money, that's where we would hold the money. One thing was not in the announcements was the volleyball courts at Cedar Hollow Park will be closed through the weekend for maintenance. It's used a lot by the folks at Vanguard and the folks who live on that side. So we just want to make sure you're aware. And the next Parks and Rec Board meeting will be September 10th, 2025. So no meeting in August, but we will be meeting in September. Next, on the Zoning Hearing Board, earlier this evening at 5:30, the Board of Supervisors began a conditional use hearing for a zoning hearing board matter for the application of the Islamic Church on North Valley Forge Road to expand, and do a property swap as well with the Devon 50 Boy Scouts camp, which is adjacent to them. So we did not conclude that hearing. It will continue on after this meeting is over if any of you are interested. The next zoning hearing board after this special conditional use hearing will be this coming Thursday, July 24th, 2025. And at this time, during executive session, the board interviewed Erica Diaz as an alternate member of the zoning hearing board and really liked her. So I would like to make a motion that Erica Diaz be appointed as an alternate member of the zoning hearing board.
I second that motion.
Thank you.
Well, any comments from the board? Comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Wait.
Oh, sure.
Roland Johnson, Paoli, Pennsylvania. Just a question. Has the cost of the eminent domain acquisition of the pick and post facility been established?
I'm sorry, has the cost been what?
The cost, I think the supervisors have indicated that they're going to take the property over by eminent domain.
Yes.
Has that cost been established, what it's going to be?
I'll defer to our legal counsel for that matter.
Yeah, well, right now, we're discussing the motion for the appointment to zoning hearing board alternate. We certainly can talk about that in public comment if you'd like,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
Would you,
hear.
sir, public comment at the end is for that. You're off the topic. The topic is Erica Diaz being appointed to the zoning.
Oh, well, she mentioned other things in the,
That was just her report. That's okay. We can pick it up at public comment at the end of the meeting if that's okay, and we'll give you a fulsome answer.
okay.
Thanks. Thank you. Any comments on Erica Diaz's motion, or the motion to appoint Erica Diaz as an alternate to the zoning hearing board? Board comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Erica.
That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Supervisor Holt.
The Arts Commission met on July 10th, and the group heard from Stacy Ballard, President and CEO of Idia Enterprises. Stacy is spearheading the project to bring murals to the main line. She provided background information on the mural project for consideration by members of the commission. Among the priorities of the commission for its first year include a Community Day origami and haiku activity. Planning is underway for an interactive activity station at Community Day in October. We also have a spring rock painting project in partnership with the Open Lands Conservancy. Participants will paint one rock to keep and one to leave behind. It'll be a fun activity to be placed along Conservancy trails for others to find. And my personal favorite is art in the Township building. Plans are in motion for a juried exhibit of original artwork by local Tredyffrin artists to be displayed in the Township building. An opening reception will be held. An RFP for artist submissions has been released and will be distributed through various channels, including our webpage. So please stay tuned and take a look for that wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.
Cool. That's it. Thank you. Supervisor Wysocki.
Yes, one report, the Planning Commission met on June 18 to consider one matter. The applicant in that matter proposed a three-lot subdivision of the property located at 549 Park Ridge Terrace. Applicant is seeking a variance from the zoning hearing board to allow the property to be subdivided into three lots, with two lots having less than required 30,000 square foot lot area. The applicant at that time sought a Planning Commission positive recommendation for the applicant's zoning approval. The Planning Commission considered the applicant's submittal and issued a neutral recommendation and had comments on stormwater issues. There was no July meeting of the PC as there were no matters to consider. The August meeting of the Planning Commission is on August 21st.
Thank you. Supervisor Bhaskar.
So I will be brief and summarize the highlights of three meetings. The Traffic Committee met on Wednesday, June 18th, and there was discussion about speeding in Dalesford Lakes. So as this is a private road, the township's options are limited. There were concerns about pedestrians in the area of West Valley Road and Sweetsford Road, especially because of the traffic and there's a bus stop. Again, the options are limited because there's a highway and then there's an underpass under the highway. So again, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. There is a concern. There was a request for a children at play sign on Fernfield Circle, but it was noted that it doesn't have any outlet and that anyone driving out there is probably a resident. And there's an announcement that the speed limit on Conestoga Road is now 25 miles an hour. And the safety issues at South Valley Road and Circular Avenue in Paoli are being reviewed by PennDOT. The next meeting of the Traffic Committee will be on September 17th at 7 a.m. in the morning. The Environmental Advisory Council met on Tuesday, June 24th, and member Ann Murphy was working with Mr. DiRocco to try and track some wire transfers of funds that were coming to the EAC. So essentially the EAC had some money coming in, but the money had not come in, so they were going to try and track down where the money was. And then one resident who is not a member who was attending the meeting brought up the issue of invasive bamboo, and they pointed to a Radnor ordinance about invasive bamboo, so I think that's something the township should probably look at. And then there was a discussion of a plan to put water bags around the newly planted trees in the parks, which will reduce the need to water them until they're established and they have their roots. And there was also a discussion about possible locations of an additional Trex plastic bag and film recycling bin. There is no EAC meeting in July. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, August 26th. The Library Board of Trustees met on Thursday, June 26th, and the board approved the updated bylaws, and updates for the programming policy are under review. So the board is going through this process of reviewing all of the bylaws and policies and updating them. The December meeting of the board has been moved to December 4th, which is a little bit more convenient considering the holiday season. Excuse me. And there was discussion about a state requirement for libraries to spend 12% of their budgets on materials. However, the board is working out what that really means because and getting some clarity on it, because if you actually read the document and the policy, the 12% is clear, but it's not clear how the 12% is calculated. And so they're trying to get some clarity on that from the Chester County Library System. So the next meeting of the Library Board of Trustees will be this Thursday, July 24th. And with that, I conclude. Thank you, Chair Miller.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Supervisor Johnston-Pugh.
No reports.
Supervisor Gussie.
The Historical Commission continues its work towards planning for America 250 Tredyffrin with lots of great ideas in progress. At their last meeting, they also discussed taking advantage of training opportunities, including a 2-day virtual workshop later in August by the National Alliance for Preservation Commissions. Additionally, last June, members of the commission attended the Chester County Historic Preservation Network Award Ceremony at Historic Waynesboro. And despite the heat that night, it was a nice evening honoring the accomplishments of Chester County's historical commissions, HARBs, and other volunteer preservationists. And lastly, I wanted to mention that the Historical Commission voted in Jean Faber as an associate member. She's been attending meetings and contributing great ideas, so welcome, Jean. The next Historical Commission meeting will be held on September 11th. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. That concludes Supervisor Liaison reports. I'd like to have a motion to approve the developer's agreement, financial security agreement, and stormwater best management practices, operations, and maintenance agreement for the TE School District new elementary school at 1200 Sweetsford Road. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You will recall that this is the project that was in the office complex. I think it's part of South Point off of Sweetsford that was approved for final land development by the Planning Commission in January of this year. Before you tonight are the standard land development, financial security, and stormwater O&M agreements that are part of any of the development. There were no significant changes, just updates to the agreements to correct the parties, and the contact information as well as the exhibits, including the plans and the extent of the financial security and the improvements that are being provided. So at this time, we're asking the board to approve the agreements as proposed.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt a resolution 2025-13 urging Pennsylvania legislature to establish permanent funding support for SEPTA. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm sure as you and the public are aware, we continue to have a budget impasse in Harrisburg, and the impact to SEPTA has been significant, to say the least. SEPTA recently passed their budget without having the additional funding allocated so far, which will have a severe impact, obviously, for the Tredyffrin Township and the surrounding areas on the Paley-Thorndale line. I got a sense of the board, obviously, beforehand, and we already have sent a letter to every elected representative from the governor's office all the way down. This resolution is being coordinated by a number of the municipalities along the Paley R5, or the Paley-Thorndale line. I still call it the R5. Just to reinforce that we're unified in this. We want to have the secure, sustainable funding for SEPTA, especially for the rail lines and the bus services in the suburbs, because they're vital for our workers and for our community. So that's really what this is about, and happy to answer any other questions.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
Yeah, thank you. Any board comments or questions?
Sure, so I would like to comment on this, which is that I think the lack of funding is short-sighted, because the way that I would look at it is, if you don't have the funding for the trains and the transportation, you have that many more people on the roads. What's going to be the additional investment required in creating more roads for those same drivers, more roads and parking spaces? So this is actually a cost-effective investment in infrastructure that should be made. And so we shouldn't be thinking of this, or the state should not be thinking of this as a subsidy, but as an investment in infrastructure for our residents.
Any other board comments?
I'd like to make a simple comment. I look at it as an investment in people, in residents. We're on the trains, people are working, people are traveling, people are going into the city to go to restaurants, people are going to the theater, to the art museum. I mean, this is critical. And oh, by the way, in 2026, we're going to have soccer all over the place here. We're going to have activities all over the place. I mean, I know it's only 1 year, but it's important for our entire region. And this sickens me. I mean, this happens every number of years, but to me, it's extraordinarily important this year. And any pressure that we can bear, any hand that we can raise to say now is the time, and that's why we're doing it. And I think this is, sometimes you pass a resolution that may or may not be important. A resolution like this, a resolution of support, and I think this one's important.
Yeah, I would just say that we live on the main line. It's called the main line because of that train. I mean, that's why it is that. I commuted on that train downtown for years. I don't know how many people who commute right across the street that way, I guess, to the building at J.G. Wentworth, who take that train out from Philadelphia. We run a shuttle. It's just outrageous that they would think this is not an important economic driver for our total area. And I'm super supportive, just for what that's worth.
I had a comment. I really can't believe that the state would short this area on transportation funds needed for SEPTA because it is so used for people going both ways for their jobs. And, I'm somebody who's used SEPTA over 20 years to get into work and back. And if you're a regular rider, you know that those trains have been very, very full, sometimes overcrowded, to where people have standing room only. And to think that everybody will then drive into the city for work, there's not enough parking spots in the city for people to even drive to their jobs. So I think it's very important that we do what we can to help bring the state to its senses regarding SEPTA and proper funding, and I support this wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Public comments?
Hi, good evening. My name is Hans Van Mol, live in Paoli. I also have the pleasure that my day job is serving as District Director for Pennsylvania House Speaker Joanna McClinton. I did receive this board's letter sent to us from Mrs. Hoffman on July 1st, essentially extending just this, and the Speaker did respond to this board. This is an absolute critical item that the House has already taken under consideration. House Bill 1364 would not only provide the necessary funding to SEPTA, but also the other transit agencies located across the Commonwealth. Certainly it is important to remember that there are other transit agencies in this Commonwealth. SEPTA is overwhelmingly the largest, but it is critical to do this, and I'm pleased that the House has actually already passed this on a bipartisan basis. Much unfortunately, like anything in Harrisburg right now, when you have divided government, things tend to slow down because what may be in the interest of one chamber is not in the other. And I can at least inform this board that most everything is currently trapped in the Pennsylvania Senate. Senate Republican leadership has unfortunately decided that this is not an urgent priority, hence the impasse that has currently been discussed. I'm greatly supportive that this board and other bodies across this Commonwealth are considering writing in support of SEPTA. I would urge simply that this board perhaps consider also just making mention of the other transit agencies. We obviously know that it's SEPTA for us, but the reality, as many members of the board may have made a comment of, is a majority of the senators that would want to put money behind this do not live in SEPTA's service area and thus do not care what SEPTA does. In fact, a lot of them feel that SEPTA and things in the Southeast in general are a drain on the state's finances and don't believe it should be funded because they believe that the money should be kept in their own communities. I personally feel that that's a mistake, a very large mistake for the reasons that have been described. But I would just urge, and while I'm very pleased that this body is considering this resolution, that particular emphasis be focused on the Pennsylvania Senate, which is where this bill is currently hauled up because the House did its job and actually passed this funding bill on a bipartisan basis. So thank you so much to this body. I appreciate everything that you're trying to do to urge up to release the funds for SEPTA. It is critically important, and as an insider with state government, I wanted to just provide that context. So thank you very much.
Arthur Zadrowski, 16 Painters Lane. I don't disagree with anything that I've heard here tonight about the importance of it. I depended on SEPTA to get to Center City when I worked there too. What bothers me is the one-sided nature where we're always looking at just throwing more money. Supervisor Humble makes the comment, these trains are crowded. I find it unfathomable that you can't turn a profit when there's such demand. So, and last year the governor took, what, $168 million from the Highway Trust Fund, so we're already depleting what's available to maintain our highways. My only question is, to what extent has the board also considered asking SEPTA to find ways to be more efficient, to not need as much funding, to meet in the middle someplace here, so it is not just always throwing more money? Thank you.
Any other public comment? The only thing I would add is that Southeast Pennsylvania is 42% of the economic activity of the entire state, just to be clear on the importance of this bill.
David, I do got just a piggyback after what Mr. Valmont said. If we do another resolution or what have you, he may be correct in the fact that asking about the other transit agencies, SEPTA, yes, is the largest, but you also have Port Authority, which runs on the southwestern side, and maybe some of the senators, because it seems like it's not so much the west and the east, it's in the middle, that they're not understanding or they're not getting how we are driving, we're the drivers of what the economy is. So maybe we may want to do one specifically to them, to the Senate side, and let them know, the who, the what's, and what may happen in the long run. If SEPTA goes, if money doesn't come to SEPTA, or if money doesn't go to Port Authority, because you're going to lose a lot. And to piggyback off of what Sharon said, traffic coming both ways. The school cannot handle what's out there now. So how is it going to handle 30,000 people trying to get out this way or going into the city? It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. We all know it doesn't work. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with the idea of taking up another resolution, but we're talking about the specific resolution we have now. So let's get this passed, and then we can talk about next steps. But I appreciate that very much. So thank you. Any other board comments or questions? This is a roll call vote. Supervisor Humble.
Yes.
Supervisor Holt.
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki.
Aye.
Supervisor Bhaskar.
Aye.
Supervisor Johnson Pugh.
Yes.
Supervisor Gossi.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Motion to approve the proposal for a .gov cloud Entra migration. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is asking for approval tonight to help migrate, as the motion suggests, a bunch of things off of our VMware, which would be, even more costly to upgrade at this point. I won't get into the necessarily details because it's not my expertise, but the cost of this is almost $59,000, and it is in the budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions?
Yes, Chair. So basically, firstly, there's a clarification for those of you who've seen the agenda with a comment after the comma after .gov. That comma should not be there. It's an extraneous comma. The presence of the comma there suggests that we're moving to the .gov domain. That is not what this is about. This is about taking a bunch of virtual servers that our IT department is currently running in-house and moving them to the government cloud of Microsoft Azure. So the .gov basically refers to the cloud that it's moving to. And again, this is something that makes sense. We're running a bunch of these virtual servers in-house, and VMware has been bought by a company that's basically, in the IT world, they're called bottom feeders. They basically buy companies and then crank up the fees to milk the product as much as possible. That's happening with VMware. And also with the physical server that we run these virtual servers on is long in the tooth. So it's about time to migrate them to virtual servers, and the Entra migration is basically moving from maintaining our own authentication services to we're doing the authentication services with having Microsoft basically do that in the cloud. So I'm supportive of this from an IT point of view. This is an entirely defensible project.
Thanks, Supervisor Bhaskar. Any other supervisor comments? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the developers agreement, financial security agreement, stormwater best management practices, operations and maintenance agreement, and the assignment of land development approval for 311 South Valley Lawyers LLC. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is similar to the sets of development agreements that you had previously on the agenda. However, there is one addition, which is the assignment of land development approval. This plan actually was approved by the Planning Commission in August of 2024. The applicant at the time was Pencrest Properties LLC. They sold the approvals to the current entity, which is 311 South Valley Lawyers LLC. The assignment agreement covers that so that you understand that the entity who has granted the final land development approval is not the same who is now actually going forward with the project. But otherwise, it's the standard agreements. And there were no significant changes other than to identify the parties and to attach the exhibits.
Mr. McKenna, do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the PennDOT right-of-way sanitary sewer facilities operations, maintenance, and endowment agreement between Tredyffrin Township and Hannah and John Brent Dogard of 458 Old Eagle School Road. Ms. McPherson.
Thank you, Chairman Miller, members of the board. Yeah, this agreement is for, it's a single-family dwelling that's knocking down, rebuilding, and they're on septic. They're looking to connect. The connection is in Old Eagle School Road, which is PennDOT. PennDOT requires that us be the applicants. So this is an agreement that, although we're the applicant, the owner is ultimately responsible. We have had these type of agreements in the past. The one difference with this one is we went through the language, and since this is just a single family dwelling, we felt that there really wasn't a need for the endowment. So we removed that section. The applicant is, or the homeowner is still responsible for payment of any maintenance items. It would just be done through, if we had to do it because PennDOT was coming after us, we would do it and then basically provide a lien on their property. So we're requesting that the agreement be approved.
Ms. McPherson, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Motion to award the bid for Gregory Lane Stormwater Project Phase 1 to Mason Dixon Contractor LLC. Mr. Berga.
Chairman Miller, members of the board, this request before you tonight is for Gregory Lane, the Phase 1 Stormwater Management and Drainage Improvement Project. This project, just to kind of refresh everybody's memory, includes stormwater improvements for sections of Gregory Lane. There'll be one large underground stormwater bed underneath the cul-de-sac area, as well as improvements to inlets, manholes, and piping along sections of Gregory Lane, some concrete curbing, and resurfacing at the end of the project. This is a project that's in our current budget for calendar years 2025, 2026, because there's two phases. With previous approval, we advertised for bidding on June 2nd. On July 2nd at 9 a.m., we opened public bids for this project on PennBid, and we received 6 bids from qualified contractors. The lowest qualified bid, after going through and checking all the requirements, was Mason Dixon Contractors, LLC. We do also want to point out we do have grant funding, 2 separate grants for this project totaling over $626,000. So we're asking this evening that the township staff respectfully request the board supervisors award the base bid and the alternate one for engineering department project 2025-03 Gregory Lane Phase 1 Stormwater Management and Drainage Improvement Project to the lowest qualified bidder, Mason Dixon Contractors LLC, in the amount of $507,447,003.
Thank you, Mr. Bergo. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any board comments or questions?
I got one. So what's the total amount? You said we got a $626,000 with 2 grants, and then
The total amount for the construction is $507,447.03.
Okay.
So that's the construction contract. There was other money that we have for design as well. It's included, but this bid is actually
below.
It's actually below our dollar amount for what we had estimated for the project, which is good.
Okay. Thank you.
We're just shocked to hear that. It doesn't happen that often. Good job.
It doesn't always happen, but we had 6 bidders, which was great, and we had 2 that were very close together on that lower end, and we had some higher ones as well. But we we think this contractor should do a nice job.
Okay, good enough, thank you. Good job, Mr. Burgo. Any other board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the proposal from Simone Collins for construction administration for the Wilson Farm Park Rehabilitation Project. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tonight, staff is asking for authorization and approval for Simone Collins for the construction administration. The cost is $32,321. It's included in the overall budget, and this will help us get through this last remaining phase of construction, and then as we, go to wrap up the grant and get reimbursed.
Thank you, Mr. DeRocco. Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to appoint Roseanne McGrath as HR consultant. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Right now, we're without an HR director. We do need some help and some expertise in that area. Currently, we have one person in HR who's doing a great job kind of keeping us afloat, but Roseanne just helps us get over the top and handle any other bigger issues that are coming our way. We've used her services before. She's helped us find actually our last HR director, so we're looking to approve this tonight. The cost is $150 an hour.
Thank you, Mr. DeRocco. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a change order from Bowman, the Township Traffic Engineer, to update the red light permit as requested by PennDOT. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something that Mr. Fitzgerald's been working on. We work with Bowman to review these every year to make sure we're in compliance. We are not, so we need to get some of these permits updated. The cost is $15,000, and so we are asking for approval for that.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions?
I got a question. Red light permit updates, help me understand, what is that?
I'll let Steve answer.
These are actually these traffic signal permits. So I think when they say red light permits, sometimes people think about red light cameras and things like that. No, these are traffic signals. So they all have permits. So they need to basically ensure that they're in compliance with the permits. So Bowman checks them for us, working with Public Works, but they're just making sure that everything is compliant. And PennDOT requested that some of these actual permit packages be updated, so they have new CAD files that are done for that. So it takes some time to do that.
So do we have to do, is this something we do every year, or is it every so many years they want it?
It's a continuous check. You have to check the signals because things can, there's all the electronics in those signals, things can go wrong, and sometimes if they're not working per the approved permit, it can be a safety risk for the township, for those various signals.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve township staff to work with Bowman to prepare and submit a transportation alternative set-aside grant application to PennDOT for pedestrian enhancements along sections of Valley Forge and Swedesford roads. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, tonight we're asking the board to consider allowing the staff to work with Bowman to prepare a grant application. PennDOT has put out a transportation alternative set-aside grant. It is due in September, I believe it is, and we were notified by Bowman because we constantly are looking for different grant opportunities to try to help improve some of our, traffic transportation items, just like we just finished the ADA improvements and signals on Valley Forge Road. This would be another, piece of that puzzle. So if the board remembers, there was a gateway multimodal study that was done years ago, and it did identify this corridor of Valley Forge Road from the Chester Valley Trail, where TD Bank is, all the way up through the, Valley Forge Middle School, and it also identified parts of Swedesford Road on that kind of northern side of Gateway, kind of to connect to the bus stop that's over there, and also to the sidewalk that goes over to the trail as well. So And we just finished the project earlier, just a couple months ago, we just finished the other project, and we just got our money back from PennDOT for the other stuff we finished. So this seems like a good next step to that, to consider some pedestrian enhancements in that area, which would be on the Valley Forge Road and Sweetsford Roads.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do I hear a motion? Second, yeah, thank you. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? I'm super supportive. I think this is a great idea. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item L on the agenda, we're going to table. There's some work to be done on a sewer access maintenance agreement for that, so there's still work to be done on L. Item M, a motion to approve Act 205 Police Pension Assumed Rate of Return, and we're going to change it from 7.25 to 7.125. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The memo in your packet outlines the proposal. Going back over a number of years, the township originally, when I first got here, had an assumed rate of assumption, and this is specifically for the police pension plan of 7.75%, which is rather high in the municipal world. We've done 2 reductions over the last 10 years to move it to where it is presently at 7.25%. The pension trustees have in the past written a letter asking that we consider moving it to 7. After discussions with the Finance Committee, the pension trustees, and I know some input from the public, tonight we're recommending moving from 7.25 to 7.125%. That will mean an increase in the MMO cost for the township going into 2026, but it's a prudent step to get to an average of 7% for the pension plan. The plan itself is very well funded. This will make it even more fully well-funded and put us in a good position in the current market. So that's what we have before tonight, and that's the recommendation. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Barton, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? Sure.
Yeah, Roland Johnson, Paoli, Pennsylvania. Question, the markets have been very good, okay, recently. They're all-time high. My question is, and there's a lot of concern about the bond market, falling rates, et cetera. Now, we're committed to, and I may be mistaken, 7.12. If the rate that we return goes to 4.5, how is that going to affect the overall pension? Because, the CD rate and the bond rate today, I think the 20-year rate is somewhere around 4.
So yeah, I'll let Mr. Rocco get into a little more detail, but it's the pension plans. They don't just invest in bond securities, it's the whole portfolio.
I understand.
Stocks. So it's the average rate of return, so you're assuming, the assumption is that we will beat or meet 7.125 over the long term.
Right.
So there'll be years where it will be down, but it's an actual average over a number of years. So Joe, if you want to give me a little more finance number on that,
But what I'm just saying is, I don't want to belabor the point, but, a financial advisor will tell you, returning 7 is pretty good, pretty fantastic. And if we look at some of the things that, I know everything has been going up, but I can remember not too long ago when that was not the case. And there are people in the economic world very concerned about the overall debt and the bond market that there could be. So you indicate that the pension is well-funded, it's fine.
yeah, so that's the goal. The goal is to move it down over time and not take a big cash hit as we do that. So we're steadily looking at every other year to bring that down. So that's the policy. Yep.
And the pension, could you turn off the mic? Sir? Yeah, we got it. We got it. We can do it from up here. Let's say the pension is a pretty diversified portfolio. So it's not invested in bonds and CDs and things like that. So it's doing pretty well, actually.
We have another virtual comment.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes.
I can't hear myself on the computer here, but assuming that you can, is there a budget impact of this? Does the lower expected return mean that we would have to every year pay in a higher contribution?
I can answer that.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Clark, based on the numbers the preliminary numbers that we were provided by the actuary, we're probably looking at about $125,000 impact. So the MMO will increase by that much. So, theoretically, that's what we have to cover.
Ray, just to be clear, that represents a little over a 1% tax
1%.
increase. Yeah, it's about a 1% tax increase, just to get to numbers that people care about. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the settlement agreement for the Church Road Pump Station upgrades litigation with RLD Atwater and Brown and Caldwell. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Others may be even more equipped to answer some of this, but parts of this dispute and this actual development go back to 2015, which predates me. The developer, as you heard, RLD Atwater, had some development going up in the Atwater portion of the township. As part of that construction, they had agreed to upgrade the Church Road Pump Station. That work seemingly took a very long time, 8 or 9 years. There were some hiccups along the way with the township. There was a dispute over some of the paving work that they were required to do that the township ended up doing. The pump station itself is fine. It's in good working condition. We are operating the pump station. Towards the end of that process, when we were getting ready to essentially take the keys, we became aware of the fact that they had invoices that were outstanding and not paid, which was to reimburse us for our engineer. Our engineer was on site every day whenever they were doing work throughout this process, to the tune of about $230,000, almost $231,000. Once that became known and brought up with the parties, we were not going to accept and complete out the project. That led to a complaint being filed by the developer, which initially was just filed against our engineer, Brown and Caldwell. They had allegations of the charges not being appropriate. The township was then added to that lawsuit. We were essentially stuck in the middle for a year and a half when that lawsuit was filed. This settlement agreement will now resolve all that so that the township is now being made whole by the parties themselves. It will also turn over the Church Road Pump Station finally once and for all to the township. And it will resolve the paving issue by reimbursing the township $50,000 for the work that needed to be done to return the road to its correct condition. So that's what we're seeking approval of, which will resolve the litigation, which will be withdrawn.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? I'll just say I think the township did a really good job of fighting this battle to get our money back. This was a tough one, and we got all of it back. So it was a good result. Thanks, Mr. Duraco, Mr. McKenna. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we go to new matters. Any board member new matters?
You have one. I don't know if, well, Darren's not here, so I'm going to have to give it to Duraco since he's taken his place. I'm just wondering, I got a couple calls from some of the neighbors in Mount Pleasant, and there was there was a sign put in the middle of the block saying "Watch Children," but I'm wondering at the top of the block there is a sign that says "No Outlet" because it's a what do you call it? I'm going to say a roundabout, but thank you, a cul-de-sac. So it talks about no outlet down at there, and I'm wondering also, could we put a Watch Children sign up there too? So that if somebody's turning, they'll see Watch Children, slow down or whatever, and then along with the, not going in.
I will ask Darren to look into that and see if we can get one up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlotta. Any other new business from the supervisors?
Yes, I wanted to thank our fire companies, Paoli Fire Company, I see Bob Roby is here on their behalf, and Berwyn Fire Company. In following what they've been doing the last month, there's been a lot of really hard jobs that they have responded to, and they do quite a bit to keep our citizens and our businesses and our visitors safe. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that they're working really hard, and it's a hot summer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. That's a good comment. Any other new business?
At the risk of being considered a killjoy, which is fine because I'm not running for re-election, I just want to remind township residents and parents that electric scooters are not permitted on public roads. And there have been some serious incidents in the Philadelphia area regarding these electric scooters. They are a lot of fun, but it's not something that I believe is permitted in the municipality. And I just remind folks about that. You can do it on private property, but public property, can't do it. Would I be correct in saying that, Chief? And have you been seeing it, right?
Yes, correct. We put a social media post out about the requirements and the rules and regs. So, see.
Thank you. Any other new business from the supervisors? For citizen new matters, we already had one comment, which you can stay there. We'll talk about it. We know you want to talk about 355 Chase Road, right? You want to talk about 355 Chase Road? So we have paid, how much have we paid so far?
So we paid in the estimated just compensation, which based on our appraisal was $625,000. So that has been paid to the property owner. I don't know what the eventual valuation will be yet. We haven't had a determination from the court, and I don't know when that will occur.
And there's been no filing, so right now, the only thing we paid is $625,000.
Right, but we don't know correctly what the final cost is going to be.
No, sir, not yet. That'll be the subject of whatever hearing process will be in front of the Court of Common Pleas.
Okay. Is there any idea of when the final cost will be determined?
No, sir, it's up to the developer to file suit. There's no action right now.
They have up to 5 years to file what's called a petition for the appointment of a board review since the...
In other words, what the town is offering, he has the right to appeal that?
He has the right to challenge that, that's correct.
He has the right to challenge that?
And I fully expect that he will at some point.
That he will challenge that, okay. And I guess and I just want to commend it, people up here as people running your job. It's a tough job what you do, involved in running the town, and you certainly don't receive a lot of compensation for it. So I just, as a citizen, I thank you for that. But just the one area it is because, I'm a conservative libertarian, and the one thing that concerns me in the town is you ride around and you look at all the office buildings here. And I think whether you look at a small office building, a big one, they all have on it for lease, for sale, for lease. And it's an open question, but I just concern myself is that we had to raise taxes this year. Chester County is going to be raising the taxes. And what is it's an open-ended question, there's probably no answer. What's going to be the impact? Because all those people with those office buildings, they're going to be looking for, they're going to say that my building's not worth what I'm paying taxes on it. And I don't know when those leases on those buildings are up, et cetera, but I'm sure nobody's going to be paying more. And I just wonder how that's going to affect the overall budget for the town or the township, because there's a lot of buildings here, and some of them are half empty, etc. And when the leases are up, I know, for example, some people are going to say they want a lot less space or no space at all. So I know it's an open-ended question, but I worry as a taxpayer how that's going to affect our overall budget for the town coming forward in 2026. But thank you people for your service. So
We're very aware of the situation, sir, and I've had extensive conversations with developers about other ideas, so we understand it. Thanks. Any other public new business? Sure.
My name's Carol Rayhill. I'm in Chesterbrook. Last month, is it on now? Okay. I'm Carol Rayhill. I live in Chesterbrook. Month, I was on the conference call, and I couldn't really hear very well, so here I am. I just want to say that I and many other people who live and travel through Chesterbrook are very concerned because of the way the township is now caring for the median strips on Chesterbrook Boulevard near Bradford Road. Last month, I was told by the township that they would only mow the same way they would mow any other township road. You know, maybe that's like 202 when it's mowed maybe a couple times a season. I just want to say that Chesterbrook Boulevard is like our front yard. And people driving through say, hey, you know, I don't think I want to live in this area because it looks unkept. Or maybe an investor is looking for really good tenants, and the tenants will say, yeah, I don't think so, let's go to another community. This looks terrible. It's our front yard. I think it should be kept up nicely the way it always has been. The township carefully maintains Wilson Park and has a perfectly manicured lawn here at the township building. And I hear that you're allocating funds for improvements now on Chase Road and improvements in Wilson Park. To me, it's shameful to disrespect our neighborhood, especially with ongoing tax hikes we've been experiencing during the past few years. Our common township-owned real estate does not belong to the township supervisors who get to dictate maintenance. Our supervisors were elected by the majority of the constituents to care for our neighborhoods, not to rule them according to who they like or don't like politically. I'm asking the Board of Supervisors to vote for maintaining the islands in Chesterbrook the same way the other island parcels are mowed. Please stop this petty disagreement with Parcel 19, who does not own and should not be maintaining this property. It's against the law. Please consider the taxpayers in Chesterbrook. Thank you.
For your input. Any other public comments? The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 18th. It will start at 5 o'clock with a continuing use hearing with the Islamic Center that we just finished or continued from earlier today. Do you hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.